being at one another's throats, the culture wars right across the West. Very concerning. I think it's probably made a lot worse, frankly, by the advent of social media, which is particularly effectively used by elites. And it's interesting that it seems to me that very often they'll be the first to say, you can't use language like that, that's hate speech, or that's racist, or whatever. But they'll do nothing to contain or to even condemn the appalling way people talk to one another via social media.
The idea that, this whole business of, safe spaces and hate speech are all about producing a kinder, more gentler, more tolerant, freer world. It's the opposite of the case. What it's all about is certain groups exerting power over other groups to silence them. That's what that's about. And we can see that very clearly by the fact that the kind of hatred that's directed at men, capitalism, the West, the State of Israel.
None of that's called out. That's encouraged.
It's encouraged.
At the same time as they say they're against hate speech.
Even more absurdly, it's turning on its own. So you have, for example, somebody who was, so prominent in, I would say, ultra-feminism, Germaine Greer, being turned on and almost prevented. She may have been prevented, but certainly she was almost prevented from speaking on various platforms on the basis that she had the temerity to say that an individual who was equipped with male genitalia was actually a man, even though that person might say that that person was a woman. She was immediately became a non-person and was almost prevented from having any platforms at all. So, even people who have been part of this awful business of fragmentation into group rights, fighting for power over others, ultra-feminism is basically anti-man. They themselves are being eaten alive. I mean, it's just like the French Revolution. The people who started guillotining the aristocracy were themselves guillotined by others.
Yeah.
The revolution eats its own. That's what we're finding also. So this adds a level of surrealism to what is already such a dangerous and distressing situation.
You paint a worrying picture. It's hard to argue with it. You see it here in the newspapers. You see it here in the way people talk about one another. I don't want to say that Australia is any different. I'm very concerned about the way in which we're pulling one another apart, the way in which the elites say essentially a whole lot of Australians shouldn't be given a say. But people are pushing back. That's the point.
Quite.
What's needed now, to put it at its most simple, keep the public square open for respectful, decent debate and the proper allowing of dissenting views in order that our assumptions and our prejudices can genuinely be tested, surely the mark of any free society.
Well, what's needed is political leadership to actually give a lead, to actually call out the real hate, to stand up against it rather than give in to it. I mean, in Britain, we've had a Conservative government for some years now, but it's Conservative in name only. In fact, it's not even Conservative in name only. It doesn't even know what it has to conserve anymore. Mrs. May, the current Prime Minister, seems to believe that the left has all the best tunes when it comes to conscience and decency. Where has she got that from? She's a Conservative. She invented the term, the Conservatives were the nasty party. Now, some aspects of conservatism, the Conservative Party, I'm sure are nasty. Some aspects, everything is nasty. But there's a lot more nastiness on the left. And the idea that the left is the kind of repository of decency, I'm afraid, was exploded many decades ago.